Hello friends, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're a returning subscriber, and this is my mystical bookshelf, and today we are back to our regularly scheduled programming with my channel. It is no longer my mystical Christmas tree, it's my mystical bookshelf again, and I am sitting on the floor with all my dolls and all my stuffed animals, but you can't see all my stuffed animals. But yeah, so today this is my first video of 2025, so Happy New Year! Happy New Year! I hope you guys enjoyed your holiday, enjoyed your break. I hope you enjoyed time with your family, and I just hope that it was a good start to the new year for you. And without further ado, this is my top 10 books of 2024. So to get started, I'm going to start with number 10. This was an okay book. I don't really have that many profound thoughts about it. I enjoyed listening to it for sure. I read it in July, and I never made a formal video about it, so that was my bad because I kind of forgot that I listened to it, but it was okay. It wasn't a bad book. And that book is Just Like Home by Sarah Gailey. And the one thing that really hit it out of the park for me with this book was the narrator. If you haven't listened to something by X.E. Sands, I recommend that you do that because she is fabulous. She's a really good narrator. Her voice is amazing. I loved listening to her so much. And since I didn't make a formal video about Just Like Home, I guess I'll give you kind of a small synopsis and a brief overview of what my thoughts on it were, because I didn't actually do that, so that was my bad. But this book is basically about oh my gosh, Vera, I think is what her name is. You know me, I can never remember people's names in books, even when I take notes about them. So I'm trying to find my notes for it right now because I listened to it a long time ago. So I'm trying to see where I have it in my planner because I'm almost positive I wrote it down, even though it was July. But yeah, so basically it's about Vera, and she comes home to help her mom, I think. And it was really interesting. It was going in a direction that I didn't expect it to go, and this is a big spoiler for it, I guess. So Vera's, this part isn't really a spoiler because it says it in the beginning, but her dad is a serial killer, so that was kind of interesting. So that was kind of the premise of the book, is her dad's a serial killer, and I think her dad recently passed away in prison. I'm almost positive that's what happened. And Vera's mom is on the brink of death, so Vera has to go home and help her and take care of her and stuff. And that's kind of the premise of the whole book. And it's kind of weird. I would definitely classify it as a gothic book. It's sort of horror. It has horror fantasy elements, so if you like that, I think you'd really like this. I mean, I enjoyed it, but it's number 10 on my list, so it's not wowing me or anything, but I did enjoy it. I liked listening to it. And the biggest spoiler that I think for this book is that it's revealed that Vera's mom was already dead. So mind blown when I heard that. I was like, what? I thought she was still alive. But no, she was dead practically the whole time. And the weird part is the house that Vera lives in, her childhood house, is sentient. And that's what was keeping Vera's mom alive, is the sentient house. And it was really weird, and it blew my mind. And the best way I can describe it is, I don't know if any of my subscribers watch the Papa Meat channel, but if you do, you're gonna know what I'm talking about, because he has these puppets that are weird fleshy things, and that's what the house reminded me of, his weird fleshy puppets. And That's the best way I can describe it. That's how the house felt to me. I don't know if that's exactly how Sarah Gailey wanted it to be interpreted, but that's how I felt about it, because that's what my mind went to when I heard that the house was sentient. So that was pretty much the basic premise of the book, is that Vera's mom was supposedly on her deathbed but already dead, but you didn't know that. So that's like the biggest spoiler for that book. But yeah, so I gave it 3 stars. It wasn't anything super wowing in my opinion. I didn't see the twist coming, so that was good, I guess. But it was a lot of family dynamics with that book, which I thought was the most interesting part about it, is because Vera didn't have a really good relationship with her mom. And that was kind of the catalyst for this whole book, because she was kind of like, why am I taking care of my mom when she never really took care of me? And she really liked her dad a lot more than her mom, even though her dad was a serial killer. But I think Vera didn't really know that her dad was a serial killer for the longest time. So that was the kicker for me there too. But I would totally recommend listening to this book regardless. But yeah, that was number 10. So let's move on to my next book. Well, it's kind of a book series. I've talked about it before, but I would say number 9 in my top 10 list is The Sugar Shack Witch Mysteries that I've talked about before by Danielle Garrett. I enjoyed this series a lot, but it wasn't long enough in my opinion. Some of the books weren't very long. It was very fluffy, which is nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with the fluffy books, but yeah, number 9. It was a good series. I would totally continue listening to it if I felt in the mood to listen to stuff like that, because it was kind of like a fluffy mystery, sort of. So yeah, I enjoyed that. It was a good book series. I don't know how many books are in the book series now, but I think I only listened to 1 through 3. Apparently there are 5 now, so maybe I need to get back on that. But the only reason that I listened to it to begin with was because it was included with my Audible membership, but now it looks like some of them are not included. But there's also, I'm noticing this deal. Maybe you guys could get in on that if you want to. I might do it actually. It's apparently Audible has the Sugar Shack Witch series as a box set right now. I don't know how long that'll last, but maybe I'll use that with my new credit for January, because it says it only costs 1 credit for the whole box series. So that's actually a really good deal. So I might do that. But yeah, that was number 9. And then number 8 is another book that I've talked about before. All of these books I've talked about before, except for number 10. So I have videos on all of these books if you want to hear more of my thoughts on them, because these are all the books that I have read in 2024. But, I mean, not all of them, but these are my top 10 that are in 2024. So the next book, that is number 8, is The Saturday Night Ghost Club. Yeah, so that was a really good book. I loved it. I think I rated it 4 stars. I thought it was pretty interesting. It was not what I expected whatsoever. I got recommended it. I first heard about it from Lexi. She's another booktuber on YouTube, and I heard her talk about it, and I've noticed if she likes the book, usually I like the book too, so we kind of have similar tastes. So yeah, I listened to that, and I feel like number 8 is not super high on my list, but I really did enjoy it. And I think if you enjoy nostalgia, and if you need a really good cry, like, this book is perfect for that time. And I would also say that it's perfect to listen to during summertime, and because it has that nostalgic summertime childhood vibes. So yeah, that's number 8. And like I said, I have a whole video talking about that book if you happen to want to check that out. This is just like a brief overview of my top 10 books. So for number 7, I have, let me pull it up. Let me wait for it to load. I have The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore. And this book, was so cute. I loved it. I loved it a lot. And it's fun. It's lighthearted. It's fluffy. It's like a Hallmark movie, but a little more invested. And I completely got enamored with the characters. I was totally set in the zone, in the setting. The setting was awesome. I love Dream Harbor. I love the way Laurie Gilmore writes the series and the setting. I really enjoyed it. And for 2025, my goal is to read The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, because that is the second book in the series, and I found that at Goodwill like a couple weeks ago, and I was ecstatic about it, so I'm definitely looking forward to reading that for 2025. I might save it for fall, but I might read it at some point sooner than that, because I don't know if I can wait, but for now, I'm going to save it for my fall list. But yeah, so that was number 7. I would say it was a pretty good book. I think I gave it 4 stars, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I like the way Laurie Gilmore writes. I think she's a good writer, and her characters were very relatable and whatnot, and I really enjoyed the romance. The romance was definitely really cute. I love Jeannie and Logan. Yeah, Logan, I think that's what his name is, but yeah, they're a really good couple. And I'm excited to see what she does with Hazel and Noah, because I was wondering what was going to happen with them, because they were in the first book, so I'm really excited that there's a second book all about them, because that's really cute. But yeah, that was number 7. And number 6 is, let me see where I can pull it up. I'll just pull up 1 through 3. So this was another book series that I had talked about earlier last year, and it is the Vampire Knitting Club. Yeah, this book series was like something I had not anticipated reading or listening to, and I was just like scrolling through Audible. This was when I was trying to find books that I could listen to for free, because I only get 1 credit a month, and it's kind of hard for me to make a decision a lot of the time. Because I'm like, I only have 1 credit, I gotta make it count. So I don't want to waste my credit on something that I won't like, or I don't know if I like it or not. So I like to look for the free books a lot of times, and the Vampire Knitting Club was free for a lot of the year last year. I don't think a lot of it's free now, which is kind of sad, but I'm glad that I was able to listen to it when it was free and it didn't cost a credit, because I love this book series so much. I was just talking about this last night with my husband. I was telling him that I like it so much because it's about vampires that aren't beautiful young people, and I think that is really important, because a lot of the conventional vampire books are all about like these really beautiful young people, and it's just so, I feel like it's overdone. And the Vampire Knitting Club is all about these older people who have gotten turned into vampires, and I think that's really cool. And they're all still very glamorous even though they're older. And I really love Lucy. She's like the main protagonist in this book, and she's so cute, she's so fun. I love her personality. I love the way the book series has gone. And I've listened to all of it except for number 15, I think. And right now I have it on my Kindle Unlimited, so I'm trying to read it, but it's not the same as listening to it. I really enjoy listening to the Vampire Knitting Club because the narrator, what's her name? Sarah Zimmerman. Sarah Zimmerman. She's a great narrator. I love her so much. She's a really great narrator for different accents, and she's really good with all the different characters. I love her a lot. So reading it, I can hear her voice in my head, which is a plus, so that's kind of funny. But I might end up buying the 15th book with my next credit. I don't know yet. I'll have to think about it. Because like I said, I can't make up my mind when it comes to credits, because it's like I only get 1 a month. I gotta make sure I make it count. So yeah, that was number 6. So this is where the books are getting a little bit higher in my ranking. So number 6 is pretty good. And for number 5, I have one of my Strange Girl fiction books. Where did it go? And it is one of the books that is near and dear to my heart, for sure. And it is my year of rest and relaxation, and I enjoyed this book thoroughly and totally and wholly. It was amazing. It was fabulous. I loved the narrator. Julia Whelan was a great narrator. She had this perfect tone to make our narrator sound very bored in like a weird existential crisis way, so that was awesome. I gave her props for that. And I also really liked the tie-ins with like the early 2000s nostalgic and how... Okay, sorry. I'm not sure what happened with that. I don't know. The button kept going in and out, and it stopped me at like 15 minutes. So I was talking about my year of rest and relaxation. I'm not sure exactly where it cut me off, but I apologize if I repeat myself. So as I was saying, I really enjoyed Julia Whelan, and I enjoyed how she gave our narrator this existential boredom crisis sound. Like, her tone of voice was perfect for what I was thinking like a woman in this time era would sound who was going through something. And it was really interesting. This was definitely number 5 is like peak for my top books. So it's going to even get better from here, in my opinion. So I really enjoyed that. I also enjoyed, I think I was talking about how it felt like a time capsule. This book, it really mentioned a lot of stuff that was common, like in the new millennia, from the early 2000 to 2001, and it really took place in that specific year. So that was really cool to listen to and read about, because I was a little kid when it was 2000 and 2001. I think I was in kindergarten, so it was kind of interesting to hear about that and hear all of the things that were going on at that time. So yeah, that was cool. It's number 5, and I really liked it a lot. And number 4, I have the physical book, but I am not going to go through my bookshelf and get it, because all of my books are really meticulously put together. So I am just going to pull up a picture of it and show you. But number 4 is tied between The Witchlings by Claribel A. Ortega, and it also ties with, this is another audiobook. I listened to it very recently. It is tied with Rise and Divine by Lana Harper. And both of those books tie for number 4 because I really just couldn't pick. I loved them both so much, and number 4 is really like this in my peak. This is in my peak reading for 2024. So I just really enjoyed, I couldn't choose between my favorite book series and my favorite middle grade series, so I just thought, it's my channel, it's my list, I'm just going to make it tied for 4. So yeah, The Witchlings was really good. I enjoyed the friendships in it. I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the cover art. I enjoyed the writing. It felt very relatable. And I have the second book in the book series, and I was totally planning on reading it for 2024, but it didn't happen. So hopefully for 2025, I can get down with it and start reading the Golden Frog Games. And then hopefully I can get even more invested in this book series and I could listen to it, I guess, but I prefer to read middle grade books. I don't know, they just feel better when I'm reading them myself. But yeah, so hopefully I can get number 3 too, because I found this book at Books A Million last year. I don't remember what month I found it. But so hopefully I can find book number 3 as well and get that book series in my collection, because I love collecting book series that I really enjoy. I also need to find the hard copy or the paperback of book number 5, because I own all of Lana Harper's books, and this is a very recurring theme on my channel. I love Lana Harper and I love her writing, and I'm really sad that book number 5 is supposedly the last book, because I would totally love it and appreciate it if Lana Harper would just continue writing for like the rest of her life. And I wish she would just live in Thistle Grove for the rest of her life, because that's where I want to live. I want to read about it. I want to be immersed in it. I have the audiobooks and the physical books, and I just love Thistle Grove. So yeah, number 4 is tied for those two. And for number 3, top 3 of 2024, we are starting with A Fellowship of Bakers and Magic. Oh my gosh, this book. I heard about it on Instagram, and I was like, wow, that sounds right up my alley. I love fantasy. I love cozy fantasy. That was definitely my theme for 2024, was the cozy fantasy and all of that, because that is the best genre, in my opinion, is cozy fantasy. And Jay Penner, I think this book came out in 2023, but I caught wind of it in when I was scrolling through Instagram one day, and I was like, wow, I need to get on that. So I listened to it, and it was beautiful. It was perfect. I gave it 5 stars. There really wasn't anything I would change about it. Jay Penner did a great job with world building, and she did a great job with the characters. I loved Arletta. I really liked how relatable she was, and she was quirky in like a really cute way, and I think she was just fabulous. I loved her so much. And I also have number 3 tied with another book that was on my most anticipated for 2024. And I was disappointed a little bit at first, but then as the book went on, I was not disappointed. What I am disappointed in is that I never made a video on it, and I totally should have. So for 2025, I will probably make a book about Rewitched. And I do own this physical copy, and I would like to own the Audible version of it as well. I just haven't gotten around to it. But yeah, Rewitched was another book that I tied with number 3, because it was part of my most anticipated 2024 listens and reads and whatnot, and I was disappointed in it at first, but as I kept reading, I was like, wow, everything's really tying together in the end, so it makes sense. And it was a little bit long-winded for my taste, but overall, I do think it was a 5-star book, and I'm glad that I pushed through and was able to make the connections with everything in the end. So I will definitely be making a video on that book at some point. I'll probably make a video on it in October or maybe September, but it's coming. It will come. I will do it, because I need to talk about that book, and this is not the video to talk about that. This is not the video to talk about that book. So yeah, that was tied for number 3. And for number 2, I also have this physical book, but I am going to just pull up a picture of it. So number 2, The Bookish Life of Nina Hill. This book was fabulous. It was so freaking cute. I loved it. I love Nina. I love her character. I love the closed door romance aspect. It was really the slice of life that I didn't know I needed, because it was a really cute book. It was super fabulous. I loved every minute of it. I didn't want it to end, personally. And it was definitely a really, really good book. And I also have number 2 tied with another one of my favorite book series. And I'm going to just show one of the books in the book series, because this book series is listed as number 2 as a whole. But it is the Mother-Daughter Book Club. This is also tied for number 2 of being my top 2024 books. I cannot say enough good things about the Mother-Daughter Book Club. It is one of my favorite book series, and I'm glad that I read it, and I wish I would have read it earlier in life, but better late than never. And if you would like to know more about that book series, I have a whole comprehensive video about it, and I go through all of my thoughts and my feelings about it, and it is one of my favorite book series of all time. It is so cute. It's very relatable. It's not cringy or overdone. It reminded me of The Clique, but like nicer. It wasn't as petty. But the Click series is also a good book series, but that's not... I should make a top 10 book series video too, but regardless. The Mother-Daughter Book Club and The Bookish Life of Nina Hill are number 2. And my number 1 all-time favorite book of 2024 is... Hold on, let me open Audible again. Where did it go? I have to scroll to find it. But it was so good. I made a video about this book, and I have nothing but good things to say about it because it was fabulous. And I think this was the debut book of this author. And I'm excited to see what happens next with her and her books, because I hear that there's another book following this book. But the best book of 2024, in my humble opinion, was The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. And I loved it so much. I should try and find the book, the physical book, and own that too, because it's really good. But the audiobook was where it was at. The audiobook was perfect. The audiobook, I loved it so much. I listened to it at work, and it was the best part of my day, honestly. It was so good. I loved it. It was like listening to a really epic fantasy movie. Like, it played like a movie in my head, and it was really great. The world building was fabulous, and the characters were fabulous, and it was so cozy, and it made me smile, like a really huge smile when I was finished listening to it. And it felt like a warm hug and a cup of tea all at once. And it was beautiful. And it really reminded me of Animal Crossing, because it took place on an island with animals that can talk like you and me. And it was beautiful. It was a really good book. And that was totally worthy of being number 1. So yeah, that was my top 10 books of 2024. And I hope you enjoyed listening to this. I enjoyed making it. And I will see you in the next video. So, goodbye for now.